Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude, Beyond Mystic, and welcome to this very special report. The title is Welcome to the Conspiratorium. With me, of course, is the one and only Clif High. You can find him on his Twitter at Clif_High and also on his Substack. Cliff, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Bonjour, bonjour.
Bonjour. You and I are walking in the streets of Marseille here in 1952, Cliff. Having so much fun for that picture. Thank you for sending me that clip of you yesterday. I'm like, oh, this is gonna make for a cool poster. Guys, let us know in the live chat. Are you loving this cool poster for us tonight? Cliff, let's talk to the audience here. Why did you bring me this angle of view here, referring back to the film noir and to the investigative time where humanity was at its infancy here, looking at all of these things. Woo, this is kind of what's in the poster. But from your field of view, why was this behind your mind here going into the
future? Okay, so here's the thing, guys. Okay, first, let's just say that Jean-Claude is being surprised, okay? He has no idea as to the content and the flow of the presentation. So he's going to be as smack-rolled as anybody else that way. So, all right, so let's get real serious about this, and let me start with a warning, okay? And I'm not goofing around here. This is not being done for effect. This is a quite serious warning. If you are listening to this as an audio, do not do so while operating any heavy equipment nor driving, okay? If you're also listening to it in the background, be aware that if you're operating heavy equipment, you may be at risk. One of the precepts and the goals of this particular presentation is to cause a perceptual field collapse in your mind. Okay, so we're going to initiate everybody. We're going to provide you with the tools, should you decide to accept it, that you could have this experience. Okay, and we're going to do it in such a way that it's sort of guided, and hopefully it will allow you to have a better functioning mind within our near-term and long-term future. The goal is to provide you with a new tool for thinking, and all of the old tools you've had have been provided to you by people that control the conspiratorium. So every bit of your thinking, because you've gone through schooling, primary school, high school, and then you get into education, which is college, etc. All of that is controlled. They only want you to see a very specific part of reality. They're afraid if you get into this other part of reality that you will get abilities and powers that they can't control, and then they won't be able to control you. So this other part of reality has been denigrated and relegated to a back seat since the 1700s, okay? I'm going to make a very bold statement here, which you can go and use AI and suss out and so on. And the bold statement is that the concept of the future was invented in the late 1600s. Okay, prior to that, we did not have a social concept of future. All right, that's when they started engineering your awareness of and interaction with our natural world, which also includes your natural perception of time. That has been engineered away from you. So you are the victim of a bioengineering effort that goes back into the 1600s. They discussed doing this in the John Dee stuff in the reports that he made to the royalties. So it took several hundred years before they actually started doing this. It is coincident and meaningful that it occurred at the end of the Kali Yuga. And we can postulate that an aspect of the Kali Yuga, or of the Yugas manifesting through humanity, is the alteration of our personal experiences with time and of time. And that a portion of the extra energies coming in from galactic center are going to go to that effect. They're going to push you into a different form of understanding time. So, all right. So this initiatory experience is going to start with with descriptions of things to let you know how you perceive things now, such that we can show you a different way to perceive it, because there's two aspects of this. When the conspiratorium put their blinders upon you, when they put their paradigm upon you, they did it in a, they're very smart, they're very clever. They're not really smart, okay? But they're very clever, and they did it at the two factions, the two portions of your being here in the materium that they can get at. So they can't get at your consciousness. As an aspect of this, let me state that when they took the Knights Templars, the Pope and the King of France, when they raided the Knights Templars and they took them, they burned them alive to attempt to destroy that consciousness's relationship with our materium and with time. It doesn't work, but you can imagine that it was that severe that's what their goal was. They were under the impression that if they burned you alive, they could extend your period of time before you reincarnated, and they would have to deal with you again. Okay, that's the whole point of immolation. All right, so now, all right, so there are many things in our reality that you can't see. Some of these you will be able to see when things are shown to you. It's an issue of your mind not being able to perceive them, okay? Maybe because of the limitations of your body. A factual one is that if you go out into space, you can't see the stars. The reason you can't see the stars is because in outer space, you're in the ether. And within the ether, light cannot be seen. The ether is the medium for light, and it is only seen when it exits the ether. And coincidentally, it exits the ether at 22,000 or 22 trillion cycles per second, the same frequency at which the universe recreates the materium, okay? So there are many things that you could see if you went out into outer space. In order to see the stars, all you have to do is hold up a sheet of glass in front of you. The glass is not ether. It causes the light to come out of the ether and go through the glass, and thereafter it appears in your reality, okay? And so this is why sometimes they do show you stars, and it's because the angle of the camera is such that there's an obscuring thing that captures the light as you go through, right? Mm-hmm. So this also is the case down here in our materium. There's all kinds of things that we cannot see because our bodies don't perceive them. There are things that our bodies do perceive, but we can't see because there's been a filter put on our minds. The filter put on our minds all the way back into the 1600s was intended to distort our appreciation of and our feeling of and our relationship with the natural world through the time pulse. They did this in order that they might warp and control the humanity. This was a technique that the Elohim, the space aliens, taught the people that are doing all of this to us, okay? So here's where it gets really starting to get deep, all right? We have three parts of our body down here. We have consciousness, which we can't muck with. You can burn it, destroy it, nuclear weapons, and nothing happens. It's always persistent. It's eternal and not able to be harmed in any fashion. Okay, but you also can't elevate your consciousness. You can't expand it. You can't change it. It is always inviolate. But then we have our body and our mind. Okay, this is why the Japanese yoga, the Shinshin Soitsu, works. It's because it goes towards a body-mind harmony. The conspiratorium has attempted to put a split there, okay? That's why our current generations here in the United States are suffering so badly. That's why the generations in the 1920s in Germany suffered so badly. This is why the generations in the late 19-teens suffered so badly in Russia, is because the conspiratorium splits the connection between the body and mind, and at the same time is doing it such that you lose your natural connection with time. All right? Okay, so now time pulses all of our reality into existence. Your body only exists for 1/22 trillionth of a second. All right? Your mind, however, persists longer than that. because your mind is floating on the energy field that is powered by your consciousness interacting with all of consciousness, greater consciousness. This is because your consciousness is just a little part of greater supreme consciousness. So you have these two aspects, your body appreciation of time and your mental appreciation of time. Your body appreciation of time is very narrow, okay? It exists only in the width of the eternal now. That's this little sphere. You're this little thing here, and you live in this little sphere of the eternal now. You do not live in the past. You have memories of the past, but you can't go to the past. You could not go back 1 second in time. Our perceptions of time have been flawed ever since 1622, I think it was, that they started introducing this, okay? This concept of the future. Before the future existed, we used to have anticipation. And if you go back to ancient literature, they don't talk about the future. You don't see the Romans writing great scrolls or speeches about the coming future, all right? They don't use the word future that way. It's always provenance. It's always, even up into the early Christian years, it's the mind of God, right? That's what's on the other edge of your anticipation. You're not ever seeing the future. In the 1600s, they started introducing this idea of scientific materialism. And the idea of scientific materialism is that the solid things, the grit that we interact with, those things that are made of particles, the idea is that those things would still exist if all of us died. If all life perished, they still think all the planets are going to exist, all the dust in space is going to exist, all the suns are still going to exist, this pin would still exist, this reality would still exist. And that's false. Okay, that is a grit-only view of looking at things. This is why our science is so distorted, because it only understands the idea of grit. This has been laid on us by murder, bribery, and blackmail when they put Einstein into the position that he got into. Okay, so our perception of this reality from our body's viewpoint is bounded by the eternal now. Our minds, however, can extend by way of anticipation into what is now labeled the future. The way that they described the future, we can imagine this is sort of like a train wheel running along on a train track, okay? And these little black things here are all of the railroad ties that make the train go clackety, clackety, clackety as it runs along, okay? These things are evenly spaced. They want you to think that the future still exists whether you die or not, okay? Whether all life dies or not. And it's not true that such things would exist. We can't go into the future at all. There is no amount of energy. In fact, there was a Feynman, okay, the guy who worked with Oppenheimer on the nuclear bomb, once did a calculation that said that you would need 5 times the amount of energy that exists in all of universe to send one atom 1 millisecond ahead into the future. Okay, so not even the atom, and not even the expression of energy that comes out of atom bombs could be used to propel anybody through time. All right, so they want you to think about time existing this way, though, because if they can do that, they can keep your mind out here. And you're not aware of what's really going on in the moment because they've got you in a constant state of anticipation, or they've got you living in a constant state of memory. And in which case and in both cases, they're trying to manipulate your emotions. Okay, and this is what I'm trying to do as well. I'm trying to give you a tool that will allow you to do this on your own and for you to be able to personally, individually, on demand, collapse your perceptual field of awareness, okay? That's what they have created and stuck way the hell out here into the future. It should exist only in the now. If you exist in the now, you have all the power of like Bruce Lee. When he's fighting, he's not existing even 1 millisecond ahead, right? He's right there. And there's a big difference in that kind of power. All right, and it's because all of your mind, all of your key energy, all of your life force, all of your consciousness is focused where it should be, in the ever-present, eternal now. Okay, so the idea is that when you reach a certain point in understanding, this field collapse happens. And it's your perceptual awareness collapsing back to this size. The reason that we have, there's many reasons, but one of the reasons we use this idea of the future being a existing railroad track upon which your car is moving is that there is a really weird kind of a sensation when that field collapses. Okay, it is this, if you've ever been in a car wreck, you've had that experience. The field collapses instantly and you get this feeling of everything rushing in on you. You actually feel the force of time pushing your awareness down to the exact now as the car is hit. Okay, or there are many other experiences that can cause that.
That's why when you're having the accident itself, it feels like it's ongoing for an eternity. Everything is so slow, and you're seeing everything happen at you. Like, absolutely, I've been to those accidents.
Yeah, because you're in that perceptual bubble, and you're being able to see everything. No part of your mind is absent, right? Yeah. So you're 100% present at that moment. There's other feelings. Okay, once you've had that happen to you, many people get addicted to it in their flesh. And these are the people that do the extreme sports. They're always trying to rush themselves to that point, right? Without dying. That's the problem. There's that little catch, you know?
There's that little catch. Clif, while you take a sip of coffee there or chaga, let me bring up the link for today's show because we're going to have 3 reference materials, guys. If you go to beyondmystic.net/notes, you'll see the 3 links to the PDFs that we're going to be referring to here today. The first one is Percival's Thinking of Destiny and Destiny. Second one is the Japanese Yoga I was just holding now. And the third one, Vernansky, right? Biosphere and Noosphere. So those 3 links are available for you guys there at beyondmystic.net/notes. I also realized
hang on just a second. Yep. Those three links are provided for people whose minds are going to be right on the edge and they want some supporting material. Okay, so go look among them and let universe guide.
Okay, very good. And as I noticed too, we're still triple casting on YouTube, so this is a good point now to bring the YouTube audience to the Rumble feed. Let me just cut away here. There's a link, guys. If you're on YouTube, please come and join us on Rumble or also here on X.